Speaking of insignificance, the Lions, not contenders, not real. Your coach said it
Oh,
best.
hold up. They're very much
You'll
contenders.
never be
No,
here again.
no.
Your co-
We're talking about the people that can actually get to a Super Bowl, that can actually contend for a Super Bowl.
Lions
This
are
year,
not
it's only
them.
the Niners and the Chiefs, baby.
That's it.
Ravens are not
You got a point
contenders.
there. You got a
Ravens are
point.
fucking frauds. Inexperienced, emotional. Detroit Lions. I'm gonna be the first to say it. 90% of that blame falls on that head coach, and then to make those decisions in an NFC Championship game, and then go back and tell your team, "Hey, this might have been our only
We'll never
shot,
be here
boys."
again.
Like
We'll never be here
I
again.
would be so mad at my head coach, dude. I would be livid.
No, you ride or die with it. He's done
As
that all
much as I
year.
respect the shit out of Dan Campbell, like in his press conference, he's like, "I understand the scrutiny I'm going to get for those calls. I understand that comes with the gig." His choices, his aggressive choices, turned against him and made them not contend.
He wouldn't have to make those choices if Josh Reynolds would catch the damn ball.
No, no, that's a possibility. You go for it on fourth down. It's completely a possibility that the pass gets broken up, your receiver drops the ball. Like,
You get a penalty and it comes back, loss of
exactly.
down. Like anything can happen. And when we're talking about the margins, they ended up losing by what was that margin?
Three.
Was that six, three? Uh,
Three.
they left they left 6 points by not kicking two field goals. You win the game. Now I get it. I respect the hell out of Dan Campbell because he went with the philosophy that got him there. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. That's you ride or die with your philosophy. Brandon Staley, you died with your philosophy. Dan
He died.
Campbell, you also died with your
He
with your
died just a little
philosophy.
bit later on in the season, but
But
at
that's
some
that's
point,
what it is.
like analytics and common
You're
sense
gonna have to
have to
learn.
come together, man.
You're
Like,
gonna have to learn. I get the numbers. I get wanting to be aggressive. At some point, you're going to learn that just like you did in the first half. What happened? What that's the other thing is, John. He went back on his philosophy in the first half.
That's the only time
He
that he
said,
did, and it was just a weird time for him to do that at.
do it two more times, and you're going to the Super Bowl." And I'll tell you what, that team didn't deserve to go to the Super Bowl. There were so many things that happened. Was the team good? Yes. Was it a feel good story? Yes. This team, as much as a lot of people don't want to say it, Jared Goff has been fun. I don't know if he's better than Brock Purdy, and I don't even believe in Brock Purdy. Like the offensive line is fantastic, but Jared Goff was also under duress quite a bit. That defense does not change their looks. They're pretty consistent. They line up and they play ball. That works against an offense that is very simple, much like what the Lions are having to deal with. They're going to need to find themselves a better quarterback if they want to be contenders, if they want to make it to a Super Bowl. And Aiden Hutchinson and the rest of that defense is going to have to do a lot better. Aiden Hutchinson, who we've been talking about all season long, didn't just get shut down in that game by one of the best left tackles in the game. No, he got shut down by George Kittle,
by the tight end.
the tight end. I don't
he
care
got
how
absolutely
good you
he got
say he
absolutely
is at
flatbacked.
blocking multiple times.
He Okay, but I'm the one that got all the airtime, the one where Kittle is laughing. I can see Aiden Hutchinson start to smirk. Like, you just got embarrassed. That should not be funny to you. Like, I don't know what George Kittle's saying down there on the field, but like, if he flatbacks me on one play, like, you bet your ass my next jab is going right for his throat.
I'm ear holing you real quick. Yeah, no, they've got a lot to work on, and that's a sad excuse. It wasn't even Trent Williams. That's who we thought that was going to be the impact. It was George Kittle.
Do you think
Not
this
good enough for him.
this has the writing on the wall of Dan Campbell being fired in the next few
Oh
years
no,
whenever they collapse?
no.
Because if they're not going to make it back, they're going to end up firing him eventually. They're not going to keep him around if he's not going to break the barrier and go to the Super Bowl.
I
Because
don't
Jared
think it's
Goff,
going to be
obviously, he's not the guy to break the curse for the Lions right now.
all jokes aside. If Dan Campbell ends up getting fired because they don't make it back, and I don't believe this is true. They'll be contenders for the playoff. I don't know if they'll ever be contenders for the Super Bowl, but that would never get Dan Campbell fired, especially there in Detroit, where they've done nothing
Listen,
for the last 30 years. It would be because they don't have a quarterback. And one of our commenters said it on one of our previous videos. Like they've got Hendon Hooker. I don't know if I believe in Hendon Hooker. He's another good story.
until he starts
We don't know
putting
what he
NFL
has.
tape out there, we have no idea. But I
Or
do
his
want to
ACL. Is he going to be
settle
good? I don't know.
some quarterback talk as far as Brock Purdy versus Jared Goff. Um, when it comes to passing ability, I think Jared Goff makes more throws than Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy missed plenty of throws in that NFC Championship game.
Sure.
Jared Goff, sadly, his receivers kind of hung him out to dry a couple of times. But the biggest issue now, I think, based off pure passing ability, if you put Jared Goff on that Niners team, they become nearly unstoppable. Okay, they have all the weapons. I don't think the books work out. I don't think it would even like come down like with the salary cap and all that shit. I don't think Jared Goff could fit on the 49ers, but if you do just swap the quarterbacks there, that 49ers team is absolutely just invincible. Now, here's the difference slightly in playmaking ability. For some reason, Jared Goff doesn't like to make plays with his feet. Jared Goff doesn't take off. Brock Purdy pulled it down a few times in that NFC Championship game. And there's even commentators talking about how Brock Purdy can do a little bit of that Mahomes-esque pull it down, extend the play. You know, Jared Goff doesn't have that side of the playmaking ability, but he can damn sure spin the ball. Now, he doesn't absolutely have tight spirals, but he puts the ball on the mark. What are you laughing at, Sean?
Brock Purdy was Mike Vick out there. That's how he looked like with that Lions defense.
Well, I don't know about. He had 48 yards rushing or whatever.
But he looked like wide open, easy runs, faster than everybody else out there.
Just the propensity to be able to pull it down in certain situations and take off. Like that separates certain quarterbacks from others that just want to sit back in the pocket, because there are times where you need your quarterback to just take the yards that are in front of them. And Brock Purdy did that. I don't see Jared Goff doing that very often. And while I think he's a better passer, I just don't think he has that extra playmaking ability that would have helped the Lions.
I also don't think he's a better decision maker. Brock Purdy's constantly willing to check down, whereas Jared Goff was, you're saying better passer. Yeah, that's fine. I don't think he has any of the other things that Brock Purdy does have. Again, I don't think Brock Purdy's that good of a quarterback.
I saw
a two-score lead,
more passes than Jared Goff in that NFC Championship game.
Oh no, I'm taking this outside of a one-game scope. I'm taking this over the multitude of years that I've seen Jared Goff play football.
Has Jared Goff been to a Super Bowl?
Jared Goff can sling that motherfucker.
Yes, he has.
Jared Goff is the quarterback that put up 50 on us.
On a bobsled defense, but yes, 50 on us.
That defense still had Chris Jones, damn it.
This Lions team, again, feel good story. I think there's a lot of other issues, and they're building. They're definitely building, but it looks like there's still some mentality issues. Maybe it's inexperience. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what we could chalk it up to, is a majority of the players that are on that team have massive inexperience, much like you could say for the Ravens, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But
much like you can say for Dan Campbell.
Yes, exactly. especially with his post-game speech that he gave to the team. There was just a lot of mis-executions also from the quarterback position. And when you're up by multiple scores and you're not holding a lead, that tells me a lot about where your team is.
They're trying to go for the kill shot.
I think a play that really encapsulates that statement. Now, did it have the biggest impact on the game? I don't think so, but it put the Lions in a slightly worse situation. It was near the end of the game. Clock is running down. They've got barely over a minute left, and Jared Goff throws the ball to their backup tight end. I don't know his name, because it definitely wasn't Laporta, but swear to God, it looked like he had a free lane to the end zone. The guy that's coming to tackle him has to come out of the end zone. And I think he steps out of bounds.
Steps right out of bounds.
Like at the 1 or whatever. They had to, or
it was like at the 4.
I mean, it was something short of the goal. It was just short of the goal line to where it ended up. The next play that the Lions called was a running play, and they had to use a timeout. So instead of having all 3 timeouts on defense after scoring a touchdown, they only had 2. So then they had to lean on that onside kick,
which never works anymore.
It was a good looking kick. They just touched it a little too early. But I mean, it's just simple things like that just look like you don't really have that championship quality, and it's a situation that didn't necessarily change too much of the outcome. Like, I still think if they get the touchdown a couple plays earlier on that throw, the Lions still lose this game. But it's just effort, the know-how, like situational awareness. Like, that tight end definitely should have scored that touchdown right there. And I refuse to believe that the guy coming out of the end zone was that much of a threat to you. Like, put a slight step on him, like stiff arm and reach that ball out or something. Like, you should have broke the plane right there. And I really think that encapsulates like the lack of experience that really showed through for the Lions.
Switch to the other side of the ball. The Niners did a really good job in the second half of this game. They got absolutely dominated in the first half, without a question. They had no answers for anything. I kind of like stopped paying attention there in the beginning portion of the third quarter. I was like, dude, these guys are done. I started texting my buddy who's a 49ers fan. Hey, good season for you guys. Brock Purdy sucks. Like, try again next year. And then all of a sudden they just keep storming back and storming back. I like the fact that I think I shouldn't say I like the fact. I think it's very interesting over the last few games that George Kittle has very little impact on the game as far as production from a tight end's standpoint. But they have put him on as an extra tackle to just help out with the blocking, which has been massive for Brock Purdy in matchups
on the NFC Championship game.
No, he went 2 for 27. No touchdowns. They put him on the line. He blocked quite a bit. Hasn't had much involvement into the playoffs. I really don't think a ton this season. Obviously, he's had a few games, but doing that against NFC teams, that's fine. I think that's one of the reasons that got them caught out against the Ravens at the beginning of this, or towards the end of the season. And one reason why they could have been a bad matchup for a lot of the AFC teams that are coming in with the way their defensive lines are, and the mentalities. Not being able to utilize George Kittle because you need to protect Brock Purdy is not going to help them moving forward.
Look, I get Kittle's skill set. I mean, he's great all around. He's a really good blocker. I do get that, but when you gotta fight Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk for targets, like I'm
and
fine
Christian
blocking.
McCaffrey
and Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, no joke. I mean, but Kittle can still catch the ball. Kittle still has the yak ability. Kittle is still kind of like a silent, deadly weapon that we definitely shouldn't take lightly.
Yeah, Kittle is a beast still. He said at the end of the Super Bowl against us that he's going to be back there and he's going to be back with a vengeance. Just so happens he's playing the exact same team. Don't think it'd be as much of a vengeance as he thinks, as he will be doing the more blocking, run blocking scheme that he does instead of catching a lot of
I
balls.
don't think he flatbacks Furious George. Let me just put it that way.
That's going to be a great matchup.
I'd like to drop this stat for the 49ers offensive line. I thought it was interesting as I saw it earlier today. We'll do again preview next week of the Super Bowl, but the 49ers offensive line pass ranking, I believe, is 23rd in the league.
We're going to eat
So
them
their
alive.
pass block ranking is 23rd in the league. So that's only the offensive line. That doesn't obviously incorporate adding an additional offensive lineman with George Kittle should he be on the line. That's just their offensive line, five front pass blocking, but not good, not good at all. And very surprising that they were able to survive the pass rush against the Detroit Lions, at least in the second half. In the first half, had a lot of problems.
I was gonna say whatever
But
adjustments they made fucking worked out, but Brock Purdy did take his fair share of hits.
he took a lot of hits. He did only give up 2 sacks, but he did take a lot of hits. Christian McCaffrey played great, 20 carries, 90 yards, had himself another 40 yards receiving. The defense, what one thing I also have found is that they don't disguise. They're not that they will play straight up, and that is not good. That's really against the Lions, that's really good, right? Jared Goff, I don't think is very good at being able to distinguish coverages. Um, and it didn't really need to, but going up against smarter quarterbacks, they're going to need to cover. They're going to need to change their coverages. They're going to need to create some mismatches, things of that nature. But against the Lions, you can kind of play straight up and lock some dudes down.
Well, yeah, against smarter quarterbacks, that word disguise goes a long way. You run man when that quarterback thinks you're running zone, or you run zone when that quarterback thinks you're running man, and you get some sort of mismatch out there on a hot read or whatever. You got to do more than just play straight up against Pat.
If that was Sean, I'd have fined you for quarterback speed.
That's why I didn't say anything.
What do you guys think about this 49ers team in this game? I
I'm smarter than both y'all.
Oh, this guy. No, it was a very interesting game. Really surprising. It was one of the first comebacks that Kyle Shanahan led 49ers have had whenever they're down at halftime.
Yes, they did. The week before, or maybe it was the Green Bay game. It was the first time that they had come back in the fourth quarter when they were down by X amount of points or whatever. But this was their first comeback or so at halftime as well.
As long as it's not raining, Brock Purdy can throw the ball. That's what it seems like.
Won't have to worry about that in Arrowhead West.
He still missed throws, boys. He's not.
Oh
He's
yeah,
still Mr. Irrelevant to me. Mr. Irrelevant on a stacked roster.
I'd take him over Jordan Love.
I
that's
don't
not.
know.
That's
I don't know. I don't think so. I think if you put Jordan Love on San Francisco, they're a slightly better team. just how we said you put a slightly better quarterback on the Packers, they probably beat the 49ers in that game.